What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another edition of Sean Anthony Live. And of course, I'm your host, Sean Anthony. And man, I am tremendously excited for this next guest. It's actually long overdue. I've been knowing this brother for quite some time, and we're going to dive into that. Okay, he is internationally known hip-hop DJ, hip-hop producer, recording artist. So much to talk about. I want to welcome to the platform Dr. J. Rawls. What's up, my brother?
Oh, man, peace. What's up, family? How you feeling?
I'm doing great, man.
Man, you made me sound like I'm cool or something, man.
You are. You're that guy, man.
That was all right, man.
Hey, I want to take it back from the. I don't even need the notes, man.
We just gonna talk.
Let's talk about. I remember the first time hearing about you. I was on Power 107.5. Had the night show, 6 to 10 p.m. Had feature called Kiss of the Distant. And I had the opportunity of breaking not only new records, but breaking music from local artists.
Exactly.
And one of the things that, you know, at that time, I was getting flooded with CDs back in the day. A lot of them were unprofessionally wrapped, right? And I'll never forget, I got this package, and it was your CD, The Essence Of, the orange color, similar to that background, that chair you sit in. And I was like, man, who is this, right? It's packaged, it had the shrink wrap on it, it's professional. I'm like, God, I'm playing this. And this is how one of my mindset, if it's packaged, because I would always say that on the show, make sure it's mixed and mastered and clean. Give me a radio edit.
Yeah.
Took the shrink wrap off. I didn't care what it sounded like, whether I liked it or not. I was going to play it.
Wow.
And I did that with a lot of artists in Columbus, especially if it was professional. So anyway, to my surprise, not only it was professionally done, but it sounded great. Like it was dope.
Good looking.
That was my first recollection of your name. Wow. How do we meet? Do you remember when we met face to face?
I was just about to ask you. No clue. All I know is, okay, that's how you heard my name. I heard your name by turning on the radio. And I was like, dang, this dude right here, man. And I think the thing that impressed me was because my thing, okay, I'm a local artist from Columbus, right? And I never really got love at home. Right. It just didn't happen like that. So the fact that because you started the Kiss of the Distant, that was your thing. And I heard about that, turned you on, because I wasn't really listening to mainstream radio, let's be honest. You know what I'm saying? But I was like, let me see what's up. And Cats was talking about how you were actually giving cats from the city some love. And it was just on mainstream radio. And it was like, yo, this is a big deal. Because it was crazy for me, you know, that album came out in 2001. So I could go over to Europe and be signing autographs, do shows with thousands of fans and do that, and then be here at the crib and couldn't even fill up, you know, the Rumba Cafe. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy to me. So that's how I remember you, is being that person who was showing love to people in the city that was trying to do something.
So, again, I still don't remember when we met face to face, but I just remember hearing, you know, digging in and learning more about you.
Got it.
And learning your history and how world renowned you are when you travel overseas. Like you said, you're signing autographs and probably can't, you know, get to the restroom after a show because fans want to. You had the big group Lone Catalyst. You had the I think that the introductory record that put you on was the production that you did for Black Star.
Yeah, definitely. Brown Skin Lady. Yeah, Most Def and Talib
Kweli. Brown Skin Lady, man. You probably told this story 1,000 times. Tell it 1,001 for my people. How did you get to do that production, Brown Skin Lady, for Most Def and Talib Kweli?
That was, okay, so I went to University of Cincinnati. That's where I went to undergrad for college. And down in Cincinnati, I was on the scene doing beats, doing music, working with a lot of local cats. Mood, 5Ds, Home Skillet, Dose One, just a lot of different cats. And so I had met High Tech.
Okay.
And High Tech was working in the studio, and he was incredible. he was like younger than all of us, but he was way better than all of us. He was just incredible, man. And he had this cat coming from Brooklyn like almost twice a month on a Greyhound bus. And I was like, man, you must really like this cat. Y'all didn't hear me. On a Greyhound bus from Brooklyn to Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's like a 24-hour trip.
Man, on a Greyhound bus.
Right.
So he was doing that, like, you know, a lot. And so when I finally met him, I saw why, because their connection was crazy. Mm-hmm. And it was incredible. So they were making incredible music at the time. And so they put out a single on Rawkus Records. And Mos Def put out a single on Rawkus Records. So both of their singles did really well. And it probably caught Rawkus off guard. It was like, yo, these records are killing. And that was back in the days when you put out a 12-inch. Mm-hmm. We didn't put out MP3s. You put out a single, and it was a 12-inch vinyl record. And they probably sold something like 50,000 copies each of their singles. And so Rawkus was like, yo, we don't really have the budget, marketing power, everything that we would like to do to put out two separate records, but you guys are good friends. Why don't y'all do a record together? And that's how Mos Def and Talib Kweli or Black Star came about. And so I just remember Kweli saying, yo, me and Mos are going to do a record, you know, give me some beats. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. I did a cassette tape. Yes, I'm that old. A cassette tape of beats, and gave him the beats, man. And it just, from there, was crazy. Just how he, you know, he called me one day with Mos in the background. He was like, yo, I think we're going to pick this beat. And Mos was like, brown skin lady, where you going? And I was like, okay. So it was their kind of their ode to, you know, women that aren't light skinned. I mean, you know, you see so many things where, you know, it's all about, when you talk about women, it's like, you know, you talk about skin color and skin tone. The fair women are always like what you see. They're at the forefront. Right. So I really, really love that they decided to do that. That was very purposeful. Mm-hmm. And they created that song. And it was actually the first song that we recorded for the whole album. Really? Yeah, we did that and Definition at the same time in LA, because Mos was on TV. He was also an actor. Right. Most people forget that, but he was acting. So he wasn't in New York. So we had to fly to LA to fit in his TV schedule. Wow.
Did that change your life immediately, or was it because, you know, back then music came out a lot slower? Yes, big time. Music. The new music only came out on Tuesdays. You remember that? Yep. Came out on Tuesdays. Not really immediately. I think it really changed my life when they got placement on Rap City and a little bit of MTV, but it was more Rap City showed a lot of love. So the video was popping, and because that was the first songs that we recorded, the Definition, Mos Def was in the studio in the booth, and so he was looking at us because we were standing there looking at him, recording him. He said, you know, so high tech, say you're ruling hip hop. Say J. Rawls, just you're ruling hip, because we was looking at him. So that's why he said it. So just because he said my name, I remember my dude Matt Fingers from Guess Wild. He called up Buzz Distribution. He was like, man, you can get a deal just because of that. Right. I was like, what? That don't make, cut it out, man. I'm from Columbus, man. It don't work like that. He was like, man, listen. He called up Buzz Distribution, was like, yo, I got my man J. Rawls, and the dude was like, J. Rawls, that's your ruling? That him? That guy? It's like, yeah, he got a group called Lone Catalyst, man. They got a record. They got a 12-inch they want to put out. We had a deal like right just like that. That's crazy. That's how I started putting out music, was because of that. And with that distribution, you could put out music at your leisure? Yes. Or was it structured? Yes. It was so basically we created the label. That's when me and Jay Sands created Buka Entertainment. And we created the label, and then they would distribute us. And Buds had worldwide distribution at the time. So that's how our music got over Japan, Brazil, you know, Europe. It was everywhere. Yeah. And that's when, you know, we started getting, because this is when email and internet was young. So we started getting emails, and we was like, these ain't what? Because we got one for Reykjavik, Iceland. It was like, we want you to come over and do 3 shows in Iceland. And I was like, what? Iceland got hip hop? What was your first international show? First one was, I went over with Seven Heads, was England. We did a tour in England. We did maybe 4 dates, Manchester,
Leicester, something like that. I can't remember the name. London, we did a couple shows in London. That was my first time, and that was 99.
What was that like, that first time?
It was crazy because, first of all, that plane ride, like, I'm from Columbus. I ain't been on no plane for no 5 hours. We was sitting there like, I'm still on the plane, looking at my watch like, I'm still on the plane. It was crazy, man. But when we landed over there, it was incredible. The fans was, oh man, it was incredible. I think the biggest memory I have from that first time was like trying to cross the street and looking for the cars to come from this way, but the cars is coming from this way because they drive on the wrong side of the road. And yes, England, I said it. Y'all drive on the wrong side of the road.
So, look, I definitely want to talk a little bit about Lone Catalyst, but Buka Entertainment, you said you and Jay Sands started that label. And first of all, I can't move forward without saying my condolences to you.
Thank you,
and
man.
your
Rest in
family
peace, DJ Buka, man.
Buka, man. Really, really sad news. We tragically lost him recently. But talk about his impact and influence on the name of Buka Entertainment.
Definitely. Buka was my best friend I grew up with on the south side of Columbus. I think I met him when I was 2 and he was 3.
Wow.
So we had been friends since then.
Childhood.
Yeah. We was little kid babies, and so we grew up in the music industry together and like we grew up digging together. Like for me, I'm into like what we call dig culture, like digging in the crates, like looking for samples to make beats. I think it's very it's archival research, really, because I'm learning about old music. I'm learning about different times. I'm learning about so many things from those liner notes, going through the crates. And so that's what Buka and we had that bond. And so fast forward to me being in college, we was still, best friends, of course, but I was in Cincinnati. So on Christmas break, I came home and we had some friends that, went to Whitehall, and they had a friend named Jay Sands, and Jay Sands was in Buka's basement. And that's where I met him.
Okay.
At Buka's basement.
That was my next question. How did you and Jay Sands?
So that's how we met through at Buka's house. Wow. So that's why we gave him that love, and we named it after him when he was away, in prison. So,
man. So Lone Catalyst, y'all obviously had some chemistry when y'all first met. Y'all started putting out music. Talk about the early on success of Lone Catalyst and how that took off.
I mean, we was blessed, man. We had a lot of people that felt our style. My beats were real jazzy, and so people like that. And Sands he had flow. It was crazy. So it just really worked, and we had mostly that overseas fan base. It was a big overseas fan base.
When did you start to branch out to putting out your own solo projects? Was it the Essence Of, or was something?
Essence Of was the very first one.
Okay.
And what happened was I had, how you see somebody like a rapper, like a J Live or whoever that I'm meeting, and I'm meeting some dude. I'm like, yo, we should work. You know how man, we should work. Yeah. Oh man, yo, we should. So started turning those we should works into actually working.
Right.
And so what I ended up doing was just, I was bartering beats. So I would give them a beat for their project, and then they would do a joint for me. And so I had these songs. I was like, what do I do with them? Well, let's do a producer's album. And that's what the Essence of was. And then later I did a soul one the same way, the Essence of Soul.
You have really captured that element of putting out projects, that collaborative thing, because each of your projects seem like they are more collaborations, man. Yeah. How is that? Has that been helpful for you? Has that opened you up to other markets?
It has. It definitely has. I mean, dealing with the Mahogany Soul with Alonzo and Wally back in the day. That's how I ended up meeting Eric Roberson and the whole that soul movement.
Yeah.
And that all came about, and I was like, yo, we should do work. We should do work. Same way I did the Essence of the hip hop. And it was just me working with artists, and I love collaborating. Mm-hmm. For me, it's like that's what I kind of feed off of. And I really haven't stopped. That's why, you see a J. Rawls and P Black album. You see a J. Rawls and Nova album. And right now, currently, I'm working with Dom Deshawn and Joey H. You know, I'm still
Who are
collaborating.
those people? I
They're
may not
they're
be
new,
familiar.
yeah, they new up and coming hip hop artists, rappers from Columbus. It's kind of the new gen. I always try to dip my toe into the new generation, these new young boys coming. And I mean, I call them young boys, but they might be in their 20s, but that's young.
Right. Talk about some of the other collaborations, man. You did some with Copy, didn't you? Do some with Copy?
Yeah. Me and Copy have worked a lot over the years, but we've never been able to complete a whole album. So we're working on that. We're doing an album with Copyright and Nico who is Talib Kweli's artist on Javoti, his label. But that album is gonna be crazy. But me and Copy, that's my brother, man. I love Copy to death. We have been working together as well on stuff for us. So I got a whole bunch of stuff coming, man.
Are there any artists out there that, you know, maybe mainstream that you have aspirations of collaborating with?
The one I really want to work with is Common.
Okay.
I've been a big Common fan forever. I've met him a couple times hanging out with Kweli and High Tech and all these guys, but never really had a chance to sit and build with him. But you know, I'm gonna get him one day. He's gonna be like, yeah, let's work. I'll be like, yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah. You know, let's before we get into the education piece, I notice now, you know, since I've been back in Columbus, you're DJing a lot more. Maybe you were doing it a lot back then, and I just wasn't aware of it.
Man,
But you're out. I see you. You know your parties, Salve, which is really taking off. You did it in New York.
Yeah.
Talk about your DJing now, man.
Man, my DJing, honestly, I feel like I kind of slowed down. I used to DJ more. I DJ'd the clubs here, the Cove, the Red Zone.
But see, you weren't doing clubs when I was here before I moved away.
No, I was doing the side rooms and stuff. I was doing a lot of the soul rooms.
Okay.
I wasn't doing the main rooms. I was leaving all that to like, you know, Lil Man and Drew and all them dudes.
Right.
But I wasn't. I was still DJing, but the most of my DJ gigs was out of town.
Right.
Most of my things have been overseas or out of the state. Just recently, I've been doing things, but really not as much because I've been focusing on education. So that's why I started Salve again. I used to do that before the pandemic at a place called Two Truths on campus, but they ended up closing. So I was just like, you know. And I knew I wouldn't try to bring it back unless I really could do it. And Land Grant gave me a really good opportunity. And I think it's went well, man.
It's amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
The 2 times that I've gone, just the ambiance, the setup, the atmosphere, like it's dope.
Yeah, I'm trying to set that vibe. Like it's very purposeful.
You're
you know,
not even trying. You're doing
I bring tambourines and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want participation. Like you're supposed to.
So it's on pause right now because of the
Yeah.
season.
Because I like it outdoor. It's an
in the
outdoor
summer.
kind of feel.
Springtime, summertime, that's dope, man.
Good
If you
looking,
guys
man.
ever come to Columbus, Ohio,
Yeah, man.
make sure you tap into Salve.
Yeah.
With Jay Rawls. It's
And
an
we coming
experience.
back next season with some bigger names, man. I can't really say nothing, but I've been talking to some folks.
Okay.
Get some things popping.
That's dope, man. So let's pivot into education because what you are doing is it's new. It's new territory. You're making history.
Trying.
No, you're doing it, brother.
I'm trying. I
You're
still
not
got some
trying.
work. I got a long way to go,
But,
fam.
talk about why you chose to incorporate hip hop and education, and we're gonna get into the albums that you and JR, the book and the album that you and JR did.
Indeed.
But what was that ignited that?
Well, I gotta give you the story, man. I started out when I graduated from the University of Cincinnati was with a business degree. So my whole thing was going to be a computer programmer. You know, I was gonna make that money,
Right.
get that dough,
Right.
right? And I started doing that, and I hated it. I hated it, boy. I couldn't stand. Man, listen. And so my cousin was like, "Yo, you should be a teacher," and I was like, "Who? Like, who should be a teacher? Dealing with these little birds."
Right.
And so, man, I was like, I hated it so much, I tried it. Fell in love, man. My first day of teaching was it didn't capture me. That first week, you know, as a teacher, you're supposed to make a call home, check in, you know, let the parents, blah, blah, blah. And I called in and I was like, "Hey, you know, Mom, little Johnny, you it was kind of a little rough, this and that, blah, blah, blah. And that mom said to me, look, from 7:30 to 3:30, he's your MF problem. Click.
Wow.
I was like, okay, I can do this. I can take this. And so that was it, man. I fell in love. 2006, got my master's of education. And then 2017, I went ahead and I completed my doctorate. Yeah. And I had to do that because I had to play the game. See, everything, corporate America, education, politics, whatever you in, there's a game to it, right? Mm-hmm. And so I really understood that I had to, in order to do what I wanted to do, I had to have the doctorate because people weren't listening to my ideas. The same thing I'm doing now, I was saying 15 years ago. Right. But everybody was like, Yeah. But now you Dr. Rawls, and it's like, oh, what say you? It's interesting perspective. I'm like, it's the same thing, bro. Yeah. But the hip hop in education came about because I used to hide my hip hopness from my students. I thought I didn't want to distract them, so I would go to work Monday through Friday, real low key, really not talk about hip hop. And then on Friday, I'd be on an airplane DJing in New York or LA or Chicago or wherever I was going. Back on Sunday night, back in school Monday in my tie, and the kids were nonetheless, they knew.
These were high school students?
No, this was when I was in middle school.
Oh, boy.
Teaching middle school, yeah. Oof. Elementary and middle school. Yeah. And so I was hiding it. But like I might wear a pair of Jordans or something, and I would notice they'd be like, I see you in them threes, Mr. Rawls. What's up with them? You got the... And I was like, And so we'd have conversations, and I'd be like, who you listening to now? I'd be like, oh, Clips, grinding or whatever was out at the time. And we had these, I was like, he ain't better than Biggie. They'd be like, what? My dad be talking about Biggie. And then we had these conversations, and I noticed that our relationships and our connections was coming like this on things that we related to. Right. So when I was my authentic self, I had better relationships with my students. Yeah. And I began to see that, like, little Johnny is walking down the hall with his pants sagging on down to his ankles. And the other teachers are like, pull up your pants. He's like, F you, whatever. Yeah, that's how they, I mean, this is Columbus Public. They don't play them. The kids don't play them games. And so, but if I would, I'd be like, hey, little Johnny, man, what's up, man? Show me some love. I got you, Mr. Rawls. And I was like, oh, I see the difference because I respected them. I showed them that I cared about what was important to them. And so they gave me that respect back. And I realized that was the hip hopness. Yeah. That was that connection. And so that's what I started to do. And I usually had the teachers would send the bad kids down to me. Kids wasn't bad. They just wasn't messing with you.
Yeah. And probably most misunderstood.
Yeah.
Do you remember me calling you when I was in Virginia, when I was considering teaching?
Yep.
And you were the one that I knew to call because I knew that you were doing these things. I only reached out to two people. My old radio and television instructor that I went to Fort Hayes Career Center, who I stay in contact with throughout my entire career. Still talk to her to this day. I reached out to her and I reached out to you because I had this idea of creating a consulting business.
Got it.
I wanted to train and develop new radio talent. So I came up with this business plan, not knowing it wasn't even a business plan, not knowing it was a curriculum or a bullet point of a curriculum.
Sure.
Sent it to her, talked to you. She was like, you need to teach. And I was like,
right.
Same thing you said.
Same thing. Like,
I'm trying to make some money here.
Right.
Teachers don't really.
Exactly.
But she planted the seeds like, Sean Anthony, you should teach, and I was like, then I don't know. I was like, I am considering moving back to Ohio. And she threw some suggestions. Then when I called you, you threw out some suggestions, about Columbus State and adjunct professor and this, that, and the third. And looking what you have done since then up until now, man, it's really amazing because you were at before you got to Ohio State, what was the other university?
Ohio University.
And you started incorporating hip hop into
Correct.
that.
Correct.
Talk about that.
So what I did was I created the first ever hip hop based education program in a college of education. That doesn't exist.
Nationwide.
Nationwide. It doesn't exist.
What year was that?
That was 2019.
Wow.
That I started doing that for them. When I left Columbus City Schools, I was at Columbus City for 15 years. You know, I taught. I was in the trenches. That's the thing. Taught at East High School.
Okay.
Taught at Marion Franklin. Taught at Sherwood Middle School. Taught at Linden. So I know, like, when I'm talking about these kids, I get it. I've been, you know, in the trenches, but that's what prepared me to understand, like, we got to change how we look at education. And so that's what I've been writing about, and that's my scholarship, and that's what I've been, you know, pushing.
That's amazing. So tell me the goal that you were trying to reach, which you have now since obtained with Ohio State. What was the main thing that you were trying to accomplish?
I had two goals. The first goal was to create a hip hop based education program at a college. Did that at Ohio University. The next goal was to bring hip hop studies to a school of music. No school of music in the country really has a hip hop studies program. Like, you could say, I'm going to do jazz studies. I'm going to do African American studies. I'm going to do, you know, political study, whatever you're going to do. But nobody says I'm going to do hip hop studies. Why? Why not? You know what I'm saying? And I've always thought of that. For the last 15 years, I've had plans. So I've been writing classes and curriculum, and I would take it to different universities, and they would all look at me like I had three heads and be like, nah, man, I don't know what you're talking. That ain't going to work. So Ohio State saw what I was doing with the program. I was a lecturer for the last 3 years. I've been a lecturer at Ohio State, where I was teaching the art and politics of hip hop. And that class, the very first time I taught it, I had maybe 15 students. You came, how many did I have? When you came, you was a talk. It wasn't a lot, right? About
No, it was
20,
about a handful, about
20, 25,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
And
because it was like a big.
we did the
first time
circle.
It was a big circle.
We did the circle.
Yeah.
And so it started to grow. The word of mouth with the students was like, yo, they're teaching about something we actually want to learn.
Right.
And it was just like, it was that. And so students were, they were really into it. And now it's grown to the point where I have a wait list every semester.
That's amazing.
That's where
And Ohio State seen something in that.
they seen something in that, and they've had a change in leadership that understands the value of hip hop, and he definitely wanted to give it a shot. So this was my opportunity. So I'm at The Ohio State University. I'm in Department of African American and African Studies and School of Music. So I've got a joint appointment, and I'm an assistant professor of hip hop.
How dope is that? What
Crazy.
you are doing, J. Rawls, is unprecedented, man.
Trying, bro.
And
Working.
you're laying out a blueprint. What's the long-term goal with this education piece? I mean, obviously
Definitely.
you're putting out music.
Yep.
You know, a book with JR. Y'all did 2 albums, 2
Yep.
projects, right?
Yep.
But before you get to that, what's the long-term goal as a professor at Ohio State?
Long-term goal is to create this hip hop studies program, and then have other universities see what we're doing and try to, you know, replicate, maybe either come to us or figure out ways, because there's tons of professors, right? The thing that gives me credibility is that I have credits on hip hop songs, like real hip hop industry credits. You know, Beastie Boys, you know, Pete Rock, Kweli, most of whatever, right? I got that. And then I've got a doctorate. So like I'm in both worlds for real.
Right.
Like there's no, like, you know, when you have a professor that's teaching about something but they don't really do it,
Right.
I do it.
Right.
Right. And so long-term goal for me is to spread that to other universities. I really want to be able to make a hip hop studies program in a university as common as jazz studies.
That's dope, man. And you know, it's funny you say, because like, you know, being a program director now at the Ohio
big.
Media School,
That's big.
students come up to me like, Mr. Anthony, I heard you on the radio. I'm like, yeah, I do this in real
I
life,
do
son.
this. I do this, right?
So
That credibility, man.
it adds
it's important.
credibility, but the level of respect, it's there,
Right.
Because they look at you like, okay, he's not just some guy in the office, you know. He's actually
It means so much
understands
more.
the culture.
You're
know?
a practitioner.
Okay.
And that's what sets you apart from the other people in Ohio Media School who either used to do it and don't do it anymore, or who are just theorists and they teach it, but they don't. I don't really do that. You know, I teach it, but I don't really do it.
Talk about the collaboration with you and JR with the book and the album.
Yes, John Robinson is my brother. We did our first album was 2009, and it was called the 1960s Jazz Revolution Again. And what we did was we created an album because we're both teachers, and he was a teacher, I was a teacher at the time, and so we created an album that really taught about the history of jazz and just different things, talking about Miles, Train, Lee Morgan, all kinds of different stuff, and that was what that was. And so when it came time to do a second album, we was like, man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And so what we ended up doing was we were also writing a book, and so we said, yo, the book should go with the album. So each chapter of the book is a song title on the album. So each chapter of the book really breaks down each song. And it's the book is for teachers. It's called Youth Culture Power. And it gives teachers ways of how to use culturally relevant pedagogy or hip hop based education, how to use that in the classroom, and not really like things like superficial things. It teaches them how, like, just different ways to listen to their students. We got a song called Listen with an Open Ear, right? Classroom chatter. And the thing about that is, like, a lot of times you have a classroom and the students are talking. What's the first thing that the teacher has them do?
Listen. Be quiet.
Shut up. You talking, but instead, sometimes you shut up as a teacher and listen. And you find out little things, you know, oh, such and such, her grandma's sick. Now I know why she acting up in class. Do you see what I'm like? This is, you start learning about your students if you listen with an open ear. And that's what we call classroom chatter. And that's one of the concepts of youth culture pedagogy.
I love that, man. And as an educator, being in education, I definitely can appreciate that. Because so often you have people that are removed from the classroom and they have these expectations on you running a classroom, but it's like, yo, you
ain't been in there.
Your boots ain't in the game, you know what I'm saying? Yep. So I get that.
Yeah, I know you do.
I get that, man. That's dope, man. So are there going to be more projects like that with education theme coming in the future?
Definitely. John and I, you know, honestly, we don't know. We're working on our second book right now. So we meet every week and we write for that book. And we're not quite sure like how we're going to do it as far as the album, but we're going to do something.
Outside of these education books, are there any other books that you wrote?
No, that's the only book. We've written 2 books together. I haven't written any books by myself, but I am working on one.
How difficult is it, the ones that you put out?
They are, it's work. The thing about writing a book is like, and it's hard to explain, but it takes a long time. You know, it took a few years to actually get it and polish it up and then refine and refine and refine.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy, man. You know, when I run into cats and we talk hip hop and stuff, people, you know, like, yeah, you know, J. Rawls, this and that. I'm like, J. Rawls, that's like family. You know what I'm saying? I've had the opportunity of being in your studio numerous times, recording with you. Like I can actually say, yo, I've recorded with hip hop legends, yo. You know, I can spit that mad fire, son.
I played it the other night too.
Yeah, you sure did. Caught me off
sleep.
guard, man. So there was an event, a private event. Rawls was DJing at, and I was there. And randomly, he plays some music
Popped it in.
that I recorded with him, and I'm just like, "What?" You know, because I don't even have this song. You know what I'm saying? No, I do. I
sent it to you.
Yeah, I did a song with Lone Catalyst called "The Hotness."
Yeah, man.
Me and Jay Sands going back and forth, man. But that's dope. And he's done several intros from my radio show.
Man,
remember
was
that?
The fun days, yeah.
You know,
definitely.
Man, radio is not the same anymore.
Yeah,
man.
I know it's
game
not.
has changed.
I know.
Switching gears on a personal level, man. You got nicknames for everyone.
I do, man.
And Ariel was just asking, like, what does he call you? What is that again? How did that? What's the nickname you call me?
I call you Shig Egg,
Shig
man.
Egg for years, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Where do you come up with these nicknames for folks, man? I have
absolutely no idea, man. I call O Sharp, I call him Iggity. Because of O, right? O Iggity, right? So Sean Ant, Egg. I don't know where that comes. It don't even
Egg.
Shig Egg. Like instead of Sean Ant, it's Shig Egg. Man, I don't know. I'm weird like that, man. I do that for everybody. I got. I'm crazy with it, man.
So, what happened to Lone Catalyst, man? Do you feel comfortable talking about
I
that?
mean, I'll just tell you, just the truth of it is that me and Sans on a business level, we're going different ways.
Okay.
And that's really all it is. I mean, it's not, we not like enemies or anything like that. There's no beef or nothing like that. We see things differently business wise. And I had different places I wanted to go. Like I really wanted to do the jazz thing with Liquid Crystal. I really wanted to do the soul thing that I was doing. Like I've touched other genres. And right now on the low, Shig Egg, I'm just telling you, don't tell nobody. I got a house album coming.
Really?
I'm not playing no games, kid.
Okay.
Yeah, house and electronic.
Okay. What, are you collaborating with someone on this?
Me.
Okay.
All me. And it's so Kweli wants to put it out on his label, but I don't know. Kweli be taking he be messing around. So we're gonna see. Right as of right now, though, I got a couple of labels I've been talking to. I could do it on my own, but I don't really know nothing about that world. I'm still learning that world. That's where Salve comes out of.
Okay.
Like me falling in love with that Brazilian, that, you know, just that feel. And I've been getting into that world. My brother DJ Center kind of really has shown me the way with that a lot. And that's my next conquest. I got a house album coming.
Out of all that's dope, man. I'm glad you shared that here first.
Hey.
Out of all the countries that you've toured and performed at, what's one of your favorites?
Brazil, Sao Paulo, Rio.
Why?
Amsterdam. Sao Paulo is like the Brazilian music. When you talk about Jorge Ben, when you talk about Marcos Baye, when you talk about Quarteto MC, like the Brazilian music for me, like that's my favorite style of music, like old school Brazilian, like from the 70s. That is when I'm most at home. I can sit and listen to that all day. And if I was playing that, most people look at me like I'm crazy because like, what are you listening to? But that's my thing. That's what, when I'm relaxing and chilling, that's what I'm listening to is some Brazilian. So that's probably why I like the country so much, because I get that feel, and the record stores there. Like, because when I travel, my priority, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm doing a speech at a college or if I'm doing a show, my priority is digging.
Right, finding the record stores.
Finding the record stores. I that's my first thing. I like, that's like, if I go somewhere with the wife, she'd be like, all right, this record store is over here, that one's over here. I'm going to shopping over here. I'm going to do this. I'm not going, because I'll be in there 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Perfect segue, man. You said, speaking of wife, I'm very, very private. As much as I'm a public figure,
Private.
I'm very,
you
very.
got to tell this?
I'm very private.
Chicken.
Yeah. If it had not, it's because of Dr. J. Rawls that I met my wife.
Yeah.
He introduced me to my wife. Do you remember that? It was at the Brownstone.
It was at the Brownstone. No, I told her, because she
we ain't got to put, you know.
She thought you was cute. She thought you was cute. I said, well, that's my man's in them. But she was just a good friend, and she was just dope, like good energy. And you was dope, good energy. And I was just like, well, she think he cute, so why not?
And here's the crazy thing. At this particular moment, I was doing a lot of speaking. And he was hitting me up, like, yo, Shig Egg, you got to come check out the Brownstone. And at that time, I had an apartment downtown.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I had moved from Far East, and I was living downtown. And he just kept saying, come through, man, on a Sunday. It was on a Sunday.
Sundays.
And at this particular, I was like, all right, I'm going to come. He hit me up, and I'm close. And I had just got done speaking, so I had like a blazer on.
Fresh.
Yeah, I was looking all.
Always dressed.
You know, like a politician or whatever, but a cool one. Anyway, I come in, man, and it's right up in front, you know, Rawls is on the stage, this little stage, you know, I think they had spoken word poetry. And it was this table, just some beautiful women right there. It was just all of them were fly. I'm like, who's that? Yeah. Introduce me.
Every Sunday, they was all fly. We was like, what is this? Yeah.
And then you made the introduction, and we sat and talked, man. Fast forward, we were friends for years.
Dope.
And then we get married, and guess who's the DJ of the wedding?
Let's go. Let's go.
J. Rawls,
That
man.
was love.
Yeah, listen, man, I can talk to you for hours, man. But
do.
I know you got an appointment, man. But we appreciate you, you know, for all that you're doing for the culture.
Thank you.
And always representing Columbus, Ohio, even internationally,
Always.
nationally.
Always.
Man, keep doing your thing. And I just want to tell you to your face, I love you, brother.
Love you too, family. I appreciate you. Let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
First of all, what you're doing at Ohio Media School, that's big boy. And I'm proud of you. And I want you to keep going because this is how we grow the culture.
Yeah.
Right? We're attacking it from all different angles.
Yes, sir.
And that's how it grows. And everybody that's doing that, I need y'all to keep doing that. Keep pushing. Keep pushing this culture. Let's go.
Man, Dr. J. Rawls, Sean Anthony live. It don't get any liver than this, man. Peace.
Word that. Dope. That was good, man.